Estimating an electrical bid of $17,000 is reasonable for a 6,500 square foot house. A breakdown of the estimate includes firstly, materials, secondly, labor, and thirdly, other costs. For materials, panels and a subpanel would be around $1,500. Wiring is estimated at $2,000. Receptacles and switches may cost approximately $1,200. Lighting fixtures could run about $3,500. Breakers may be $500. Other materials, such as boxes and conduits, could be another $1,000. Labor costs could include panel installation at $500. Wiring, rough-in and finish could be about $4,500. Device installation of receptacles, switches and fixtures could be $2,500. Other costs could be permits and inspections for $200. Overhead and profit might be approximately $1,600. The total estimated cost is around $17,500. This estimate is based on certain assumptions. Firstly, the house is a single story with a standard layout. Secondly, the walls are drywall or plaster. Thirdly, the ceilings are 10 feet high. Fourthly, the electrical system is being installed in a new house. If any of these assumptions are inaccurate, the price may need adjustment. Electrical pricing can vary significantly depending on location, labor rates, and the specific materials used. It is important to get quotes from multiple licensed electricians to ensure a fair price. When bidding on a job, it is crucial to accurately estimate material costs. For the mentioned project, there are several key components to consider. The 200 amps panels and the 100 amp subpanel require careful selection based on the load calculations and local electrical codes. The estimated cost of $1,500 for these panels seems reasonable, but it's important to check with suppliers for current pricing and availability. The specified 2/0 THHN/THWN copper wire for the 400 amp service is a significant expense. The 250-foot run will require a substantial amount of wire, and copper prices can fluctuate. The $2,000 estimate should be verified against current market rates for copper wire. Similarly, the 2-2-2-4 SER cable for the 100 amp subpanel needs to be priced accurately. Considering the 80-foot run, the estimated cost should align with the current prices of SER cable. The cost of receptacles and switches can add up quickly, especially with a large number of devices. For this project, there are 153 duplex receptacles, 17 of which are half-switched, and 86 single-pole switches. The estimated cost of $1,200 should account for the quantity and quality of the devices being used. Lighting fixtures represent a significant portion of the material costs. With 104 recessed lights, 24 2-foot by 2-foot fluorescent drop-in lights, 8 2-foot by 4-foot fluorescent surface mount lights, and 49 4-inch round nail-up light boxes, the total cost can be substantial. The $3,500 estimate needs to be carefully calculated based on the specific fixtures selected and their prices. The cost of breakers can vary depending on their type and amperage. The project includes 6 SI breakers, 22 15 amp single pole breakers, 8 20 amp single pole breakers, 3 30 amps double pole breakers, and 4 60 amps double pole breakers. The estimated cost of $500 should cover the cost of all these breakers. In addition to the major components, there are other materials such as boxes, conduits, connectors, and hardware that need to be accounted for. The $1,000 estimate for these other materials should be sufficient to cover these miscellaneous expenses. Labor costs are another critical factor in determining the overall bid price. For this project, there are several key tasks that require skilled labor. Panel installation involves mounting and connecting the panels, as well as ensuring proper grounding and bonding. The $500 estimate for panel installation should cover the time and effort required for this task. Wiring involves running the wire, terminating connections, and ensuring compliance with electrical codes. Given the size and complexity of the project, the $4,500 estimate for wiring seems reasonable. Device installation includes installing receptacles, switches, and lighting fixtures. With a large number of devices to install, the $2,500 estimate for device installation should be sufficient to cover the labor costs. Obtaining the necessary permits and inspections is an essential part of any electrical project. The $200 estimate for permits and inspection should cover the cost of these items. Overhead and profit are necessary to cover the business expenses and ensure a reasonable return on investment. The $1,600 estimate for overhead and profit should be sufficient to cover these costs. It's important to consider several factors when estimating labor costs. The complexity of the wiring, the type of devices being installed, and the accessibility of the work areas can all affect the amount of time required to complete the project. Additionally, the experience and skill of the electricians can impact labor productivity. To accurately estimate labor costs, it's helpful to break down the project into smaller tasks and estimate the time required for each task. This can be done by reviewing the project plans, consulting with experienced electricians, and using industry-standard labor rates. When calculating material costs, it's important to obtain accurate pricing from suppliers. This can be done by getting quotes from multiple suppliers, comparing prices, and negotiating for discounts. It's also important to factor in any potential price increases or material shortages that may occur during the project. Accurate material cost estimation requires careful attention to detail and thorough research. Permits and inspections are required to ensure compliance with local electrical codes and regulations. The cost of permits and inspections can vary depending on the location and the scope of the project. It's important to obtain the necessary permits before starting any electrical work. Overhead costs include expenses such as rent, utilities, insurance, and administrative salaries. Profit is the amount of money the business earns after covering all expenses. The amount of profit included in the bid price should be reasonable and competitive. To accurately estimate overhead and profit, it's helpful to track business expenses and use industry-standard profit margins. It's essential to review the bid estimate carefully before submitting it to the customer. This includes verifying the accuracy of the material and labor costs, checking for any omissions or errors, and ensuring that the bid price is competitive. It's also important to consider any potential risks or challenges that may arise during the project and factor them into the bid price. By carefully reviewing the bid estimate, it's possible to minimize the risk of underbidding or overbidding the project. It's also important to communicate clearly with the customer about the scope of work, the bid price, and any assumptions or exclusions. This can help to avoid misunderstandings and ensure that the customer is satisfied with the final result. Providing a detailed and accurate bid estimate is essential for winning the project and ensuring a successful outcome. Remember to factor in the cost of fuel for travel to and from the job site. Account for wear and tear on your tools and equipment. Include costs for safety gear, such as gloves, eye protection, and appropriate work clothing. Consider the time spent on project management, including communication with the customer, scheduling, and coordination with other trades. Don't forget to factor in the cost of waste disposal for materials and packaging. Account for potential delays due to weather, material shortages, or unexpected site conditions. Include costs for rework or corrections due to errors or changes in the project scope. Consider the cost of financing if you need to borrow money to cover project expenses. Factor in the cost of marketing and advertising to attract new customers. Account for the cost of training and professional development for your employees. Remember to include costs for employee benefits, such as health insurance and retirement plans. Factor in the costs of taxes, including sales tax and income tax. Don't forget to account for the cost of insurance, including liability insurance and workers' compensation insurance. Include costs for legal and accounting services. Consider the cost of software and technology used for project management and accounting. Factor in the cost of vehicle maintenance and repairs. Account for the cost of office supplies and equipment. Remember to include costs for subscriptions and memberships to industry organizations. Factor in the cost of bad debts or uncollectible invoices. Don't forget to account for the cost of inflation and price increases. Include costs for unexpected expenses or contingencies. Consider the impact of competition on your pricing and profit margins. Factor in the cost of warranty work or callbacks. Account for the time spent on preparing and submitting bids. Remember to include costs for customer service and support. Factor in the cost of building and maintaining relationships with suppliers and subcontractors. Don't forget to account for the value of your time and expertise. Include costs for personal expenses, such as meals and travel. Consider the opportunity cost of working on this project versus other potential projects. Factor in the cost of stress and pressure associated with the job. Account for the impact of the project on your personal life and relationships. Remember to include costs for relaxation and recreation to maintain a healthy work-life balance. By carefully considering all of these factors, you can develop a comprehensive and accurate bid estimate that will help you to win the project and achieve a profitable outcome.